used Linux before.
Yep.
So I think it'd be helpful.
That makes sense. Okay, so again, I'm recording now. Wasn't before. So just to understand what's happening with the Linux and all that, if you took C++, which I suspect that you did, using an integrated development environment on Windows, most people do, then it takes care of a lot of this for you. So it may not be as clear. And I've been using Linux so long, I tend just to fly through it and don't always explain things. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. G++ is our compiler. That's all it does. Okay, so if I just say G++, the name of my file, and again, just for a shortcut, if I type in C3 and hit tab, if there's nothing else named C3, it automatically fills out the rest of it for me. Okay, so there's an efficiency there. Okay, when I do this, it's going to take my program, it's going to compile it into an executable. It doesn't run anything. If I get no error message, it doesn't tell me anything. The one thing you'll learn about Linux, if you don't, no news is good news. If there's a problem, it lets you know. If it worked, it doesn't let you know, typically. So that means it compiled and it's happy, okay? But what did it compile? Well, I didn't tell it a name, so by default, it creates a file called a.out, okay? A.out is an executable. Over here, you can tell it that it's read-write executable for me. It's read, no, for everybody. It's read-write executable for my group. No, that's incorrect. It doesn't really matter. These are my rights. These are my group's rights, which we don't have groups. And these are the rights for everybody, okay? Not that it matters, but the X is important because it's an executable. On your system, this may show up as a different color. Mine, it's bold, supposedly. There's also an asterisk there, okay, which is not really there. It's just there as a symbol, okay? So I can now run that program by doing a ./a.out. And it runs the program, okay? Which is fine. The downside is it only does the last program that I did because I keep renaming it a.out. So it's not really the best of all possible solutions. It's good for me when I'm doing examples in class. It's not good for you when you're doing homework even, okay? Because if you want to show one, oh, let me look at this program, you have to compile it every time, which defeats the whole purpose of compiling. So what I should be doing and what you should be doing is it's still the G++ with a file name, but we're going to add a .o object. That's a small letter O, not a 0, and not a capital O, okay? And that means we're going to create an object file. It's not going to be a.out, it's going to be something else. So the way to do that normally is to name it the same name as your file with a .exe. And then put a space there, okay? So this is saying compile this program. This is the program we want to compile. These are options. So there's a pair here. This is a command option, -O. It takes one object, which is the name of the file we want to create, and that's a c3p3.exe, okay? Do not name, if you do this, now it's going to rename the executable your file name, and your file is gone to you. You can't see it anymore, so don't do that. So make sure you put the exe first. Again, the exe goes with this -O, and then that is what it's going to do. So when I do this, and now if you do the list, and I've got a bunch of stuff there, but if you go up or here, you can see it. So right here, you can see it was created today, created right now. Again, created 210, so that's right now on today. This is an executable file, has the X over here, has a .exe name, it's got the asterisk, okay? So again, unlike Python, we're two parts. We've executed the program. We now have the program, but we haven't run it. We didn't ask it to run it. Now we have to ask it to run it, okay? On other systems, I may be able to say just c3p3.exe, okay? But Linux doesn't work that way. Linux has certain places it looks, regardless of what directory you're in, okay? So I have to tell it, use the current directory with a /. So just like I did a ./a.out, I do a ./c3p3.exe. Now it runs the program, okay? So when you're moving things, so let's talk about copying and pasting, if you didn't have other questions about the homework. Copying and moving, okay? So again, in this case, C3P3 is the wrong name, okay? So I need to correctly name it C4P3, okay? That would be the correct thing. So I can do that two ways. I can do a move. It moved as a from to will rename the file. There's a risk there. If you mess something up, you may lose your file. So I usually copy first. So I'm going to say copy from the C3P3.cpp to C4P3.exe. Okay. Now an LL lists the files. You see that there's a C3 and a C4. Okay. This C3 is incorrect, so I can now do a remove, an RM C3P3.cpp. Okay. Note remove is permanent, so it's gone forever. So if you're curious or if you're concerned, you can always do an LL on the file name. The LL will list just the file you're going to get rid of. Okay. So if I was going to do something crazy and do like a remove star CPP, okay, that gets rid of all the files that end in CPP. If I tested it first, I would say, whoa, whoa, I don't want all that. Okay, so I would know not to do it. But in this case, I do want to remove the C3P3.cpp. Okay, and also remove the C3.
So to copy something to rename it to another directory, would it just be a CP, the file name, and then homework / whatever you want to name it?
Yes. So let me go ahead and create here. mkdir creates a directory, call it homework. Okay. I can now, if I wanted to copy C4P3.cpp to the homework directory. And what did I name things? I must have messed things up. Oh, I named it exe, but it's not. So let me rename it again. So I'm going to just do a rename here, C4P3.exe to C4P3.cpp. That's what I did wrong. Not remove. Good Lord. I'm glad I didn't do that. I want to move. Okay. Now I don't know what I've done. I've just destroyed the entire world, apparently. I somehow erased my file, which was really a good thing not to do. Note one thing, there's a saving grace here. These tilde files are backups. So I should be able to say, I want to move C3P3.cpp tilde to C4P3.cpp. Okay. And then with any luck, again, if you want to use, if you don't want to edit it, you just want to view it, more allows us to view the file. Okay. And that looks like, yeah, that looks like it. Sometimes with the tilde, you don't get everything because it doesn't save it all the time. But if you crash or whatever, look for that tilde file. Okay. The other thing you sometimes see in a crash is you'll see something like a file name that'll begin with an octothorpe, like this. So if you see that, the computer kicked you off or crashed while you were on it editing the file. Okay. Then you would just have to, you can again move that to a regular file name. And then it would come back and you'd be able to do stuff with it. Okay.
What was the command that you said that we could type in to just view what we've written so we don't have to go in and edit it every time? Was it
Either
more?
More or less, either one works. But yeah, more. If you have a giant file, you can do a head. So I could do head on whatever. And it prints just the beginning of the file. Or you can do a tail. And it prints just at the bottom of the file, if you ever need that. Okay. But back to what I was originally going to do. So again, in LL, we can use wildcard. So I can do a C star. It's going to give me all my C files. Okay. So my C4P3 is now correct. So again, if I wanted to compile that or make it an executable, I would do a dash small o C4P3.exe, not CPP, or I'd have trouble. Okay, that should compile. And now I get, let me go back up. And now I have the C4P3.exe. Okay, and now if I want to copy that, okay, again, you see in my listing, at least on my terminal, the homework is blue. There's a D there. That's how I know it's a directory. Okay, so I can copy again from to. I'm copying C4P3 star because I'll copy both the CPP and the exe at the same time to homework. When you do that, since I did CP, it's still there. But if I do a CD into homework, now both of those files are there. And you can do a / again. And again, / just says use this current directory to look for the executable. And there it goes. There it runs.
So you can't move and rename in one step.
No. Now, if I would have moved it, it wouldn't be in my main directory anymore, right?
Copy, my bad.
No. Yeah, those are set. Well, no, you actually, yeah, you could. Let me rephrase that. To go back a directory, which is often a question, it's just .. It's always the parent directory. Okay. If not, you could have always done just a CD tilde refers to your home directory. And then I happen to be in the summer 2021 directory. And yeah, look for a Linux cheat sheet. All these things will happen there. So if I wanted to copy this one to the homework directory, but I wanted to rename it, I could just put in a different name, c4p4.cpp, and that works. And see, that renamed it as it went along. Okay, I'm going to remove that because that's not really correct. Okay. There's also an ls, the list files, the list short, so ls and ll. So ls shows you a more compact list, but without the types. So from here, I can see that this is a directory. It's the only directory I have. Okay. Also, pwd shows you where you're currently at. So you all have a home directory that has your whatever you log in as that directory. So the home / your username is your home directory. I happen to be in the summer 2021 directory from that. Okay. Other questions about any of that stuff? So again, on all these programs, there are a lot of other things that you could do. So again, I have an iterator that I don't use. You could print through, also don't spell vector right. Didn't type it correctly. Okay. So you can print things out differently. It doesn't tell you to print the numbers. It just tells you to print the smallest and the largest. So there's a fair bit of flexibility there. Okay. And again, your for loops could use an iterator instead of using the numbers like I'm doing. Okay. Again, if you use the iterator, you have to dereference that iterator address in order to get the information back. But otherwise, it should work exactly the same. Okay. Any other questions on anything?
Can I see the end of that program to where you get to the return 0 part?
Yep. So why do I have to put a return 0 there? Anybody know? We declare the function int main, not void main. So it has to return an int. If you don't, it doesn't tend to complain, but it really should. Okay. Returning a 0 means things are okay. If you return something besides a 0, then there could be problems with the code.
So the return 0 cancels it out versus just telling the program that's the end of the program?
The return 0, as soon as you hit a return statement anywhere in your code, it's done. So if my very first line was return 0, nothing else would run. That's why we make it the last line.
Okay, so basically, essentially it does just that, then it ends the program.
It does. In this case, if it's not here, it still works. It just assumes it's returning 0, but it's better just to put that in. Because it also ends when it's just done doing stuff. And you know, this program, just when it starts, it's just going to sequentially do these declarations, these operations, this loop 6 times. Then it's going to come down, do this loop 6 times, and it's going to print these out. Then it's done. Then it's going to stop anyway. But yeah, I don't even think it gives you a warning. It could, because I don't do this because I've been programming a long time. But if you're having issues when you're doing your compile statement, which I'll never find one again because I wanted to. There. You can also do a wall, which means all warnings. Okay. And when you do that, it didn't even warn me. See, it didn't even care. But by turning on the dash wall, it's going to give you a lot of warnings. If something's weird, it's not wrong, so it still works, but if it's a little weird, I don't tend to do it because I'm cocky like that, because I programmed a long time. I'm not normally a cocky person, but I am in this case. But yeah, it doesn't hurt to put that dash wall on. Okay. Yeah, we're soon getting to where we're going to have to talk about segmentation errors. That's when you go out of the, the Excel spreadsheet I had of the little box of memory. And Diamante, I saved that file, or I saved the video, so I'll post that later from this morning or from earlier. But when you try to access a memory address outside of the box the operating system gives you, you get a segmentation fault. And when you're dealing with pointers, that's bound to happen. So we'll have to learn how to deal with those when we get to them. Other questions about the oddities of Linux that you want to ask?
So is there a way to for us to send files to someone else in the class? Because I've still not figured out how to get rid of that lab1 file.
Yeah, the easiest way, and it's again, the things I've learned, other things I know they're there, but I forget the syntax. There's a couple of ways. The most direct way, there's a program called SCP, which is going to copy via the SSH protocol. So if you look up, and here's the other thing we can try. There's a manual, in quotes, built into Linux. So I can say man SCP, and it's going to give me how this works, but it may not be in a way that makes you happy. But it will allow us to copy from one thing to the other. So that's one thing that you can do. And again, it will give examples at the end. This one's not going to. Yeah, that's pretty ugly. You can also just do a search for that. But the other thing that you can do, remember, everybody has access to a /tmp directory. Okay. So let's say I wanted to copy, what do I have on here? My test.cpp. I want to distribute that to everybody in class. I'm going to copy that to the /tmp directory. Okay. Each one of you can do a cd/tmp and get there. And now you see that test.cpp is there. There's also a, looks like a Python program I put back there back in February. Okay. But there's a problem with this in that right now, again, if you look at the rights for everybody are that anybody else can read it so they can see it, but they can't really do anything with it. Okay. So if you wanted to make it so they can do everything, you can do a chmod for a change the modification rules, and the 16-ton weight is 777. That gives everybody full rights to test.cpp. And now if you do an LL, you see that everybody can do everything. It also makes it executable, which it's not. So it's not a great tool. But then anybody else could copy that into their directory. Okay, so let's go to my home directory. So let's say that someone's copied up and you want to get it. You would then say copy from /tmp/test.cpp. And then you're copying it to your home directory, which you already are there, but you don't want to change the name, so you just put in a dot as a placeholder. Okay. And now if you look, I should have the test.cpp right here. I just copied back. Okay. So those are the two ways. The other thing you can do, there's a program called FileZilla that allows you to download your files from the server onto your local computer. It's freely available. Okay, so if you get into FileZilla, then you can see what you've got. Let me show you that real quick. I've got just enough time to do that, unless somebody has a more burning question.
I just want to know if the recording is going to be on Moodle for today.
It should be. If it's not, let me know and I'll do it.
Okay, for sure.
I sometimes forget. Got 2 classes going on. It's summer. My motivation's not as strong as it sometimes is. Okay,
I
so
understand.
this is a 5-week course. I've got one 5-week course and one 12-week course, and I'm teaching both C++ and Java, and I'm just a muddle. But anyway, so I can type in up here in the host ludwig.mcs.uvays.edu, and then that information there, and then that information there, and then it's port 22 always. You can connect that in. You can make an actual thing if you want. Then you have to say okay the first time. Okay. And what this does, this is going to show on this right window over here all of your files that you've created. Okay. So if we go to the summer 2021 where I'm putting a bunch of stuff. So all the programs I'm doing that I did today, they're all over here that I've done in this class. Okay. And then you can look on this left side and you can find, for example, your desktop. So here's my desktop videos are here. So I can just grab one of these and copy it over. Okay. And then you can email it to somebody. You can do whatever you want. Okay. So that's another way that you can do things. Okay. Other questions? Okay. So again, tomorrow, I'll try to get the videos up tonight, but it may be tomorrow morning. I've got another video from my other class to get up tonight as well. And I still have to make it. So read the section on DQs and read at least the first part of linked list. It'll make tomorrow go quicker, but that's where we're going to start. Okay. So any questions on anything else? Phone calls.
One question on the homework. So you went over it earlier, but the executable stuff.
Yes.
I thought we were supposed to turn in the executables as the homework, not the.
No, make sure. I want the CPPs because I can look at those.
Okay. I did both. I just wanted to make sure it wasn't.
Both is fine. Yeah, both makes it quicker for me to test, and that's fine. Depending on the homework, I either run it. If it's something that is pretty clear if it works or not, then I'll just run it. But then sometimes I'm going to look at it. So yeah, if you put just the CPP, you're okay. If you put the CPP and the EXE, you make me happy. So
okay.
And the happier I am, the easier I grade. It's true of everybody. So okay. Okay, well then I'll see you guys tomorrow. If you have questions before then, make sure you let me know. Talk to you later then.